is Tuesday the 5th of March 2024. Last night I took the ayahuasca for the first time in 3 nights. The good news is that I'm barely itching. I think that the 1 in 3 will be a lot better, at least for the next week or two, or I'm hoping so at least. And last night I had another lesson in the form of a dream. Last night's lesson involved technique. So last week I was shown that I need to use some discernment how I use my energy. This week's lesson was a technique in that energetic exercise. So for example, I was shown baking, making and admin, because those are the 3 things I do a lot of. I wasn't shown the whole technique, either because I need to work it out for myself, or there's maybe more learning to be done. Maybe I'm not allowed to be shown. I possibly do need to work it out for myself. Time will tell. I'm just going to hold on to that. I was just shown a way of doing things so that they would not need to be repeated. The actual activities are just a way of spirit to show me how to navigate things. They're just used as examples rather than the actual activities I may or may not be doing. So for example, if sport is your thing, you might be shown a technique associated with sport so that it makes sense to you, so that you can relate to it. And that's why I was shown the 3 things of baking, making and admin. They are things I can relate to. Today I am going to go down to the Emporium. I'm going to meet my friend Bev, and I'm going to give the pitches a tidy up and put a few more bits in and have a cup of tea, and then come back home and see what the rest of the day brings. I had a very busy day yesterday, so today I'm just going with the flow. This is Wednesday the 6th of March 2024. It's a sunny day. It started off rather dull, but I'm sitting here now chilling with the big boy, Merlin. Such a lovely boy. I've just had my piano practice. He's purring loudly. He loves listening to me playing. I'm using the keyboard though at the moment because Dan's still putting new hammers on my piano. Anyway, last night I had an unusual dream. I didn't take ayahuasca last night, but perhaps with being quite sensitive to any remedies, it was left over from the previous night when I did take the ayahuasca. Last night's dream seemed to be across multiple timelines. It was very strange indeed. It's like all the timelines folded into one. I dreamt last night that I was driving a car and my mum was in the car with me. I didn't always see her there, but I recognised her energy. But in parts of the dream, she was actually there. We're driving along and we're in Scotland. We arrive at a museum dedicated to Rabbie Burns, the Scottish poet. And it was an old building, whitewashed. It wasn't in Dumfries, it was out with Dumfries, somewhere in the countryside. And it was closed. I was really disappointed. It was closed because they didn't have any tea or coffee facilities, which seems a bit unusual to me, but this was the dream. And across the road from there was a whitewashed pub, so we decided to go in there instead. Then we are back in the car and I'm driving along, and I had all these baby creatures to save. I wasn't exactly sure what kind of creature they were. They were cat-like. They were sort of a cross between a cat and a dog. But 2 of them passed away. Those 6 survived. And that was a little disturbing. I didn't seem particularly upset. I just acknowledged that 2 had passed away, but 6 had survived, and I was really happy that 6 had survived before I passed them over to whoever I passed them over to. I don't know who they were. They were somebody there waiting when the car stopped. And then I dreamt we were driving along again, and this time we were going through Hampshire, and in the dream I'd watched an Amanda Ellis video, and she'd been talking about somewhere in Hampshire that was old and really interesting to visit, and how she would like to stop outside the premises. I was still with my mum, and we stopped right outside and got out. I was really excited about it. I wanted to take a photograph, but suddenly there was loads of people round the building, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get a very good photo of it. Then I turned around, my mum had gone. There's a group of lads hanging around my car, very suspicious looking, in hoodies, and they'd put a baby adder which was in a brown paper bag in the car, and I got it out of the back of the car, and it was fine. It just flicked its tongue out at me, but it was okay. There was a chimpanzee also in the back of the car, and I knew I couldn't have that, so I picked up the chimpanzee to put it out of the car, and it bit me, and my hand was sore. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to go to the hospital now and get that sorted out. But in the dream, I didn't go to any hospital. And I didn't seem to have any problem with the hand. And this time, I'm on my own outside a big cathedral. I had no idea where it was, except that there was a task to find mice in the building. And I went in and started to have a look round, but I couldn't see any mice. And I asked a man with a beard if he had seen any mice, and he pointed one out. It was camouflaged around the foot of a pew. And then I started to notice more mice, but there was a couple of mice that were dead. Anyway, I found that a bit upsetting, but I walked past and tried not to focus on that, and just tried to focus on the mice that were alive and thinking how cute they were. Then I was in the main part of the cathedral, and they had all these magnificent pews, and I met a lady who had a cute Shih Tzu dog. I picked the dog up and gave it a cuddle and continued walking through the building to the door that would lead me out of the building, and I settled the dog down onto a pew. The dog wanted to stay in my arms. It was reluctant to leave me. I think the dog was worried that it wouldn't be able to find its owner, but I knew the owner wasn't too far away and she was coming for it. I noticed the dog had a disposable nappy on it, and I took the nappy off all in one. It had some poo inside, and a little poo dropped out. I scooped it up with the nappy and bundled everything together. And my mum appeared again, and she said to me, "Did you know there's a man in spirit standing with you?" And I said, "I know there is." And she said, "Are you not going to take a picture?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to take a picture." and she was a bit miffed and she flounced off. And earlier in the dream, when we'd been driving along in the car, I'd been aware that there was also a man in spirit with me. But it didn't matter who the man was. The fact is, I knew I had somebody else with me in spirit. I left the building and I threw the nappy away in a bin that was nearby. And I noticed there was a Tudor looking building just across from the cathedral. The house was white with a thatched roof. I would have liked to have taken a photo of that, but there were a lot of people hanging around, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get a very good photo of it. Then suddenly I noticed Dan. Dan was with a black guy and they were talking, and I said something to Dan. He ignored me and said to his companion, "Oh, I'll see you later," or something like that. And I thought he was quite rude, ignoring me. He was taller than he is in real life and slimmer, and he was wearing a beanie hat, but it was definitely Dan. And I started telling him about how my mum had flounced off because I wouldn't take a photo of the man in spirit, but I knew that she would soon come back because she'd left all her belongings in our house. And then I woke up. So that was last night's dream, and it was a strange dream, and it seemed to be across multiple timelines. Very interesting indeed. It's also significant because I remember the dream in some detail, and I need to ponder on that and go within and try and interpret what the dream is saying. So I'll see you again soon. This is Thursday, the 7th of March 2024. Tomorrow is International Women's Day. Dan was up early for work. He's at his mum's this evening. I've been looking after our furry three. Arthur had been a lot better after his short course of Metacam for his bladder inflammation, but unfortunately he started off with it again. I came back from the PLE to find that there was a puddle at the bottom of the stairs and one further up the stairs. He was a little bit agitated. I let him go out for a while. He had a nice time basking in the sunshine with Miss Robin. He's been quite clingy though this evening. He had some more medicine and his supper, and bless him, he's asleep now again. Hopefully the medicine will do its job and he's going to get checked over on Saturday. Dan had made an appointment today for him. Hopefully the vet will give him the all clear or give him some other treatment that is a little bit more successful than what the emergency vets prescribed. Apart from that, I took a commissioned beeswax bread bag to one of the staff at the PLE and she loved it. And then I had another order from somebody else for 2 waxed bags, which was really nice and very much appreciated. I made some pumpkin soup today. I made a coconut wax candle. I poured the wax into a whole eggshell. I like to do Easter candles each year, and I pottered around. I didn't play the piano today. I did some admin and got a couple of orders in the post which were outstanding. And it's nearly 9 p.m. I'm going to finish my cup of tea and sort the fur kids out with some supper and have an early night. I need one. Hello everyone, this is Friday the 8th of March and it's International Women's Day. Yay! Here's a big hello and lots of love to every woman out there and everyone who identifies as a woman as well. Anyway, I hope everyone's keeping well. I had a really good night's rest last night. I took my ayahuasca. I did have a little dream which involved me saying to Dan's mum that I didn't want to stay in Thanet and I was thinking of moving out to Canterbury. I've never held back from my desire to move away from Thanet. I think it was just my mind processing things, because in the end I said, well, I'm not going to leave Dan. I'm not going to go to Canterbury, but it's something I really want to do. I might just try and find a job there or something just to get out. But at my age and being self-employed, I don't really want to find a job. I have no ambition to go back to work part-time or full-time for that matter. I'm quite happy doing my own thing, and therefore that's why I believe it was just my mind filtering through things and my desire in the not too distant future to leave the area we're in at the moment. But it needs to be the right place because I really like our house here. It's just that the area itself is not quite to my liking. The climate I find too damp and it makes me wheeze as well when it's very damp. On a brighter note, Arthur seems to be a little more settled. He used his tray a lot last night. I think he has a little UTI personally. Dan's got him in at the vet's tomorrow morning for a checkup anyway. And Dan should be home about 3 o'clock today. And now I am off to post a couple of eBay orders and drop a Avon book off to one of my customers and go for a little walk. I'm going to make the most of the sunshine today, and Arthur and Robin are loving it outside today. Merlin is a little bit clingy. He wants me around him quite a lot today. I've spent a bit of time sitting with him doing a bit of tacking, which I don't often do. I just usually sew with the pins in and remove the pins as I go along with the machine. But I made a particular effort today to do some tacking just so I could sit with him, and also prepared some vegetables for dinner tonight. Hello everyone, this is Sunday the 10th of March and it's Mother's Day. So I'm wishing all mummies out there, including mummies of fur kids, a beautiful Mothering Sunday. It's also the new moon in Pisces. I have spent the last 2-3 days gradually building up a manifestation and healing grid again. On there are some of my favourite crystals, including a beautiful blue crystal wand, a Lemurian crystal, and also a Himalayan crystal wand, a beautiful rose quartz heart-shaped gemstone that Dan gave me last year, 1 or 2 other crystals, 3 cards from the Keepers of the Light deck by Kyle Gray, a lovely greetings card I bought in Glastonbury town a few years ago from a crafter at the Tuesday Craft Market, and a little white feather that I found last year. It fell to my feet whilst walking on the beach, and a pressed four-leaf clover that a good friend sent me last year as well. They're all on the board. It's a dull day today. The M25 is closed, which may disrupt journeys of families to see their beloved mothers. I wonder whether this was planned to separate the human collective. Some may think that that thought is a conspiracy theory, but I don't really care. That's just my thought. It's what I pick up from the energies around me. I took oak yesterday afternoon. I'd had a break from the remedy. I'd been a lot better over the last week. I took the oak yesterday, probably about 4 o'clock, and surprise, surprise, my nose feels a bit blocked, and I've also got a little bit of a rash. So I think that's bye-bye to an oak remedy next Saturday. I'm just going to leave it now. I've had 3 doses with a week's break between dose 2 and dose 3. It's not working well for me physically. Mentally, I feel stronger. It hasn't been a total disappointment. Unfortunately, though, it's just expressed itself through my body in ways that are difficult to tolerate. The rash on my leg was starting to come back. It's itchy today a bit. Today I should be taking ayahuasca. I have been taking it with 3-day breaks in between, and it's been a lot better, certainly on my poor legs, but there is still an underlying rash. Especially if I have a bath, my legs start itching like crazy. I have got a little bit of a light rash. It's reasonably well suppressed, only taking ayahuasca once every 3 days or so. I will probably take a dose today and then maybe one in the middle of the week, and then I'm going to call it a day on that one as well. The rose quartz, however, is a huge success. I've really enjoyed taking the rose quartz. My last rose quartz tablet is tomorrow, and I am going to talk to Lee about the possibility of maybe her giving me some more crystal remedies. They work really well with me, but that's ostensibly because I'm a crystal person. I'm drawn to crystals, and I fit the profile of a crystal person in terms of personality. It just seems to suit me. I really resonate well with crystals. Today we're going to spend a little bit of time in the garden, even though it's a bit damp, to do some potting on and some more propagating of seeds. Dan prepped the soil yesterday to make the low wall border around the raised bed that we have. The one that's staying fallow this year. The other one already has a wall. So he's dug the trench for the concrete, and then we can build the wall. And once that's done, we can think about getting rid of the scraggy lawn and laying down membrane and pebbles with a new path, and probably a lovely arch over which we can grow a grapevine or some other trailing fruit. We like to have as productive a garden as possible, and it will look so pretty in the spring and summer months as well. We won't, of course, crop anything this year. Like anything new, it needs time to bed in, so it might not produce much until next year. And I bought a new rhubarb crown recently, and again, that will need to be left at least 12 months. That's the golden rule. Don't touch, because it can hamper or affect the plant in the future. And I like, as does Dan, my plants to have a long and happy life. Yesterday we took Arthur back to the vet's. He'd had a flare up again on Thursday, and yesterday the vet took a wee sample and he still has an inflamed urinary tract system. So now he's on 2 types of drugs, and we have some special food for him. And then next weekend we need to collect his pee and take it back down to the vets. And depending on what they find, he may need no further treatment, or he may need to go on a long-term special diet. All in all, though, bearing in mind the kind of week we've had, it's not too bad an end. I personally am feeling good in myself and more than able to deal with whatever life throws at me over the coming week.